Let's head on over and say good morning to Kevin Richards with our tech news in hand. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, Alan, outstanding. How are you today?
I am doing terrific. Friday is always good. You know how Friday goes. So let's talk about some of the things going on out there. Google, I guess, added again, this time launching satellites to deliver internet service. Like what?
Absolutely. You and I have talked a bit about Google's attempts to bring internet to more of the globe. About 2/3 of the world's population still doesn't have internet access. And, of course, that affects Google because Google sells advertising. And the more people that are on the internet, the more clicks they're going to get, and the more advertisers are going to want to be involved in Google. So what Google's doing is, they've got Project Loon, which is one way to bring internet. It's using balloons and basically, pushing internet over those unserved populations. What they've figured out, though, is that those balloons can only do so much. They fly, they orbit around in unpredictable patterns still. And what they're doing is finding that with the lower cost of launching satellites, they may actually be able to put a bunch of satellites up there rather than balloons to bring internet to the rest of the world.
Wow. That's fascinating. I mean, really. So their goal is to what? I mean, own the Earth?
Well, absolutely. It's Google, right? So they've got a plan to launch about 180 small, what they're calling high-capacity satellites. And they're projecting that it's going to be about a $1 billion to $3 billion investment to do this. Certainly, they've got the money and the ability to do that. They've also got the ability to handle cost overages, which has certainly been a problem in the past. Microsoft has tried this back in the day. They've tried and failed, but of course that was when satellites certainly cost more than they do today. And Google's very serious about bringing internet to the world. So I think that this will be an interesting thing to watch.
All right, talk to me about the Google Shopping Express that's going on right now. What is it?
So Google is looking to compete with Amazon, of course. They want to make sure that Amazon doesn't own all of the internet shopping, because once Amazon owns that particular mind share, they will be losing advertising revenue. Of course, it's all about advertising revenue for Google. So what they're doing is they're partnering with retailers like Target, Toys R Us, Walgreens, and even Costco. And they're currently serving an area that's up in San Francisco, including Berkeley and Oakland and areas up there. But over the next few months, they're going to expand that, and it's going to go as far south as Fresno and as far north as the California-Oregon border. I know you're familiar with that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so customers need to order by 7 p.m., and then they will receive their shipment the next day. And they bill you by the number of stores you're shopping at. So if they stop off at Target, that's $4.99. If you add Costco, that's another $4.99. So it's charged based upon the number of stores you're doing your shopping from, and of course that makes sense because Google has to do all that driving for you. And they also began testing same-day service back in March of 2013. So this is not something new for Google, but it's actually an expansion and an acknowledgement that it's working.
Now, I understand Google is also looking to compete with Amazon, not only on delivery, but on something else that they're building. Do you know what that something might be?
Well, we think we know what it is. Amazon launched a video just 2 days ago, and this video shows people staring down at what we certainly can't see it on the camera, but it looks like it's going to be a phone from Amazon. So Amazon is getting out there and competing with Google, and Google's all about their Android systems and all that, and Google certainly acknowledges that mobile is the way to go. And so, Amazon recognizes that as well. And if you go to Amazon.com, there's a video right off the front page. You can kind of see it. It's neat to see that Amazon has really got a good marketing team in place now. It's one of the things very early on. Jeff Bezos said, we don't need marketing, we just need good service, and that worked for a while. But now it's Amazon is really getting into different consumer products, so they're having to utilize some marketing, and they're doing a pretty decent job.
Wow. Let's talk about real quickly another company I know competing with Google, something called DuckDuckGo or something like that, getting a boost from Apple. What is DuckDuckGo?
So DuckDuckGo is another search engine that I'm sure a lot of your listeners have not yet heard of, but it's getting a lot of traction. And their claim to fame is that they are not going to be holding on to your searches and your private data. They're giving you an alternative to Google that certainly wants to hold on to all of your data. Now, Google holds on to all of your data for a very specific reason. They want to create a persona of you. They want to understand and predict what they think you are searching for before you even necessarily search for it, which is a great service. It's very personalized. It's very cool. But certainly some people don't want to have that experience. They just want to search on the Internet in privacy. And so DuckDuckGo gives an alternative. And the big boost that they just got is it was announced at Apple's WWDC conference where they have developers get together. And what they announced is that the new iOS 8 from Apple is going to have DuckDuckGo as one of their search options.
Wow, can we get that now, by the way, DuckDuckGo?
Well, sure. Go, Google DuckDuckGo, and it'll come right up.
I just did. There you go. Yeah, I got it now. I'm going to look at it in a moment here, and I'll talk about it on the other side. Also, I want to get some big Apple news also coming out, so we'll talk about some Apple stuff in just a moment. Tech news with Kevin Richards right here on News Talk 720 KDWN. Kevin, of course, created my website by way of disclosure. Ventura Web Design is the name of the company. We'll talk Apple Talk in just a moment. I'm Alan Stock, and I want to thank you so much for joining us on this Friday morning. And I've got Kevin Richards, our Tech News with Kevin Richards segment. We're going on right now. Kevin Richards, let me just say real quickly, I did go on DuckDuckGo. It's nice. It's good. I like it. I'm going to, when I get home, I'm going to use it and try to check it out, for the next couple of days to see what it's like. So I'll let you know what I think about it next week after using it for a while.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I mean, it returns relevant results. You search for Alan Stock, it comes up with alanstock.com, KDWN second. I mean, it's a good search experience, and that's why Apple's choosing to go ahead and partner with them and make that an option to their customers. Incredible
stuff. All right, tell me about some of the Apple news here. I think Q is interested in some of the Apple things you have. He loves his Apple. Tell me about what the latest is with them.
Tons of Apple news, and it all comes out of their developers conference. That's where they announce their latest and greatest information, and they get all their developers on board to use the newest and coolest tools. One of the things that really stood out to me that I'm excited about is on the newer iPhones, they've got the Touch ID. That's where you can use your fingerprint to as a passcode for the iPhone. So they're opening that up to third-party developers to use that as an authentication tool. So what that means is that third-party apps are going to be able to basically use your fingerprint as identification rather than having to type in a password. So what that's going to mean for retailers is a lot faster checkout process, which is one of the key ingredients in getting people to buy your stuff online.
Wow. My fingerprint thing doesn't work too well. I tried that, and it just didn't work too well. So I just lock it and automatically, I can unlock it easy. I just don't keep it locked a lot of time.
You might want to get your fingerprints checked, Alan.
Oh, I might want to do that. That's right. I'll check with the FBI. Maybe they've got a set that I can borrow.
Another cool thing, though, really awesome, is they're announcing that Siri is going to be listening to you now. And you're not going to have to touch a button on that phone to talk to Siri. You just say, "Hey, Siri," and she's listening and ready to go.
Now, is that for all phones or for the new one?
Well, it's all about the new iOS. And one of the neat things about Apple users is that they are early adopters. Tim Cook, the CEO, said that I think about 9 out of 10 iOS users are running the latest operating system, and that's in what he says stark contrast to Android, which is the Google version, where only about 9% of people are using the latest operating system. So yes, it's going to be, obviously not every device is going to be able to handle the new operating system. If you've got an iPhone 3, it's time to run down to the Apple Store and upgrade.
All right. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I chose not to upgrade it. They keep trying to get me to upgrade it, and I keep going no because I hear from people that it will it erases some contacts. You got some problems with that. Tell me about that issue because I'm very concerned about that.
Well, you got to get used to upgrading, or you got to get used to utilizing the cloud and backing up your system to the cloud. That's super important. then now as far as upgrading to the new iOS, maybe you don't do it on the very first day. Maybe you give them a couple days for other people to find those bugs that maybe they missed. But overall, you should be upgrading, after, say, a week or two to the new operating system. I know there's a fear of change and things breaking, and don't fix it if it isn't broke. But with technology, things are definitely changing all the time. And if for no other reason, you should be upgrading for the security factor.
Really? Because I also didn't upgrade my my Mac at home, my iMac. When they want me to keep doing that, I keep going, no, back off, back off.
You got to adopt that change, Alan. It's good for you, and a lot of the changes they make are based upon usability studies and finding out how people are using the product and saying, how can we make this better? How can we make it easier? How can we make it faster?
So you think that I would not lose any contacts or anything like that if I went ahead and I went through the system, my phone and my iMac?
Well, step one, back it up to your computer, back it up to the cloud. Always have a backup because your phone could, get run over tomorrow or something. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's time to upgrade. Absolutely.
You know what? I'm going to get you out to my house to you do it. I'm afraid if I touch the wrong button, the whole thing's going to explode or something like that. I love my iMac, by the way, but it's I'm just afraid to go ahead and do it. Kevin Richards with Tech News. We do it every Friday, and of course you can find him at Ventura Web Design. How do you get there? Well, you go to venturawebdesign.com or allenstock.com. On the right hand side of the page, it's the Ventura Web Design logo. That's the page that they developed for me, by the way, and they did a great job. You guys did a fabulous job, and you can get a hold of Kevin through the logo, either Ventura Web Design or Kevin Richards, and find out what's going on. Plus, he's got some other businesses he works with as well, including candles. So, what can I tell you? Thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate it, and we will do it again next week. Maybe I'll see you ahead of time, get you out to update my computer. I don't know. I'm afraid to touch it.
We don't make house calls, Alan, but we'll definitely take care of you.
Yeah, so much for company doctors. Okay. I will talk to you next week.
Thank you, Alan.
Take good care. Kevin Richards joining us right here in News Talk 720, KDWN 720.